ownership is still an aspiration among a majority of Nigerians. Millions of Nigerians struggle for affordable housing amidst the real estate boom. For many low-income Nigerian families, especially those with children, once the bare essentials are paid, such as house rent and basic food and clothing, the paycheck is gone. There is nothing left to go towards saving for a better shelter or a better life. Affordable housing becomes a key issue when majority of the population is not able to buy houses at the market price. It is therefore the responsibility of the public and private sector to cater to the rising demand for affordable housing. This is Housing Development with your housing diva, Flora Anne. Let's see the trending news in this sector. I'll be back shortly.
The Financial System Strategy 2020, FSS 2020, has announced its next mortgage sector virtual forum scheduled to take place on 27th day of September 2022 with the theme Mortgage Framework, Creation of Mortgage Foreclosure Issues in Nigeria. Acting Director and Moderator of FSS 2020, Ibrahim Hassan, noted that issues centering on housing finance as it relates to mortgage and foreclosure, government policies and regulations, the role of public and private sector in creating awareness to mortgage in Nigeria will be germane at the forum, with Mr. Abiodun Owonikoko, SAN, Principal Partner, Synergy Attorneys, as the lead speaker. Other discussants to speak on the theme are the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, MD and CEO of Africa International Housing Show, ARHS, Barrister Festus Adebayo, the MD of Nigeria Mortgage Refinance Company, NMRC, Mr. Kehinde Ogundimu, Executive Secretary of Mortgage Bank Association of Nigeria, MBAN, Mr. Kayode Omotosho, amongst other key players in the Nigeria housing finance industry. The umbrella organization for all housing agencies, mortgage institutions and some private property developers in Nigeria, Association of Housing Corporation of Nigeria, AHCN, has announced plans to host its 6th International Conference on Housing and Exhibition from the 1st to 3rd of November 2022 in Lagos. The annual conference, themed Sustainable Housing Models to Solving Housing Deficit in Africa, is aimed at assessing and analyzing the current African housing system in order to find sustainable housing models suitable and applicable to Nigeria's system as a means of tackling the huge housing deficits in Africa. Stakeholders expected at the conference are federal and state government housing agencies, international housing agencies, financial institutions, professional bodies and organizations that foster housing provision in Nigeria, even as the conference seeks to create strategic and functional funding mechanisms that would ensure continuous provision of mass housing in Nigeria. The Family Homes Funds Limited, FHFL, has identified acceptable collateral structures and options, acceptable land titles, options for delivering offtake assurance, pricing and tenure as the biggest barriers to obtaining funding for the nation's affordable housing provisions. This was made known recently at a housing roundtable jointly organized by the FHFL and the Nigerian British Chamber of Commerce. Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of FHFL, Femi Adewale, while speaking at the occasion, noted that the blockages also had an impact on the supply and demand sides of the nation's housing delivery, even as FHFL has aimed at delivering 500,000 homes by the end of 2022. According to FHFL boss, the target of the company was to provide finance for housing schemes across the country, as finding solutions to the problems causing the blockages will help unleash affordable and sustainable funds for the provision of homes.
For full details of the news, do well to visit www.africanhousingnews.com. As demand for higher priced real estate increases, access to affordable housing is more difficult for millions of citizens. For years, Nigerian authorities have been pledging to address the issue of providing affordable low-cost houses, but without much result. How can more low-income earners become homeowners? What strategies should the government put in place to provide decent and affordable housing for low-income earners? Let's find out from this report.
Affordable housing is a basic need of man. World Health Organization defines housing as a residential environment which includes, in addition to the physical structure that man uses for shelter, all necessary services, facilities, equipment and devices needed for the physical, mental and social well-being of the family. Housing may be considered affordable if its rent or mortgage is below 30% of that household's income. In Nigeria, minimum wage is estimated at 30,000, which is not sufficient to meet the basic needs of an average family, as inflation keeps rocking the world. Families who can barely survive cannot afford to purchase a home. Home ownership in Nigeria is below average compared to other countries' estimated home ownership. Nigeria's government is aiming at developing over 300,000 housing units under the National Social Housing Program, NSHP, a component of the government's economic sustainability plan to provide affordable housing and create millions of job opportunities for Nigerians. This plan, which is yet to be achieved, may be due to the usual poor execution and actualization of budgetary allocations. Speaking to some experts on housing projects and delivery about the possibility of an average Nigerian owning a home, they gave their views.
Affordable housing for the low income, that's a very good one. And classifying it for the low income must be driven by the government. I will call it, instead of affordable housing for low income, I will say social housing. Anywhere in the world, social housing is driven by the government. Otherwise, there is no way low income can own their own structure.
When you're talking of affordable housing, you have to consider local building materials, because most times the affordability of a house actually depends on the materials that are being used for construction.
On what strategies government can put in place to fulfill its promises in providing affordable housing for Nigerians, they said.
The critical area where government should do is to provide land. Very critical. They must provide land for building and also infrastructure. Now, if, for instance, there's a piece of land where government proposes to build houses for the less income earners, and there's no infrastructure on those lands. We don't have mechanical infrastructures, we don't have electrical infrastructures on those lands. It becomes a problem.
Government can provide service land designated for social housing. Say this land, let them put water, put road, put electricity there. It will reduce the cost dramatically. That's one. Make loans available for the unbankables. The unbankable, there are some unbankables. The poor, the middle poor, the upper poor, the lower middle, the middle. Some of them are bankable, some of them are unbankables. And so you make loan available that they can pay in their lifetime, that will not impact on their living.
If government could implement housing policies with strict adherence to executing them, low and medium income earners who make up a greater number of the country's population would be able to afford a home and create legacies which will impact generations to come.
According to the Center for Affordable Housing Finance in Africa, the cheapest newly built house by a developer in Nigeria is $10,000 US. So, it is estimated that only about 9.7% of the urban household in Nigeria can afford the cheapest house. Now let's feel the pulse of some Nigerians as they speak on ways government can assist in making low-income earners to own a house.
Like me, the way the situation of the economy of Nigeria is going, it's not possible for me to afford a house in the next 5 years to come. If you are earning a salary of 100,000, you will pay your house rent, you will pay your transport, to buy small things like foodstuff in the market. If you calculate that 100,000, it's not there again.
It's a tedious experience. It's not easy having a house or getting a house in Nigeria. The high cost of material is a major problem. Then the challenge of the regulatory agencies. Yeah, so it's not easy getting or owning a house in Nigeria.
For now, I feel government is not doing enough because there are already housing or estates built by federal government that are not utilized well.
Anybody that built a one-bedroom flat now, give the person kudos. You know what I'm saying? The person is trying. So the government should help us to at least bring down the price of cement and all these building materials. Let them make a Jakarta to start working so that iron rod will not be expensive.
There will be need for housing to be done in form of cooperatives, and it takes a government of a philosopher king leader or leadership to be able to do that. Going forward, government should give us a housing policy.
The government has to do a lot. Today, the real estate developers are having problems. The reason why houses are very expensive is because of the cost of the land. If federal government can allocate land directly to real estate developer, houses will be very, very cheap.
Voices on the street there. One of the most important things that any government can address is housing affordability, where those in the low-income group can afford to own a house. This will definitely reduce the rate of homelessness in the society, as well as the huge housing deficit. Let's take a short break. Stay with Housing Development.
Hello, my name is Casey Arrest. I'm the Executive Director of the Centre for Affordable Housing Finance in Africa, and we're based in Johannesburg, South Africa. Please keep watching Housing Development Programme. It's a great show.
Welcome back. When starting a building project, it is mandatory to get building plan approval, which is a permit from appropriate authorities in Nigeria before construction can commence. Getting a building plan approval is an indication that the building complies with building laws and regulations. So it is expected that a developer or individual get building approval before mobilizing to site and adhere strictly to them while construction is going on. But then, what do we see happening these days? Buildings under construction collapsing like a pack of cards. How do we correct this? Take a listen to this housing expert.
Building collapse in Nigeria is still making rounds on the news almost on a daily. On Saturday, the 17th of September 2022, a four-story building in Uyo collapsed with 2 people confirmed dead. And in Jigawa State, same day, building collapse occurred with 7 dead and 1 injured. Also, in Abia State, erosion swallowed 2-story building on the 18th of September. This was a natural disaster which could be prevented if proper town planning was carried out to map out the area for any structural projects. Speaking to some experts on the issue of recurring building collapse in Nigeria, they gave insight.
We have identified so many factors that could have led to that. But it's like the more we discuss, the more collapses happening. When you hear a story building collapsing, you find out that an approval was given for 4. The developer wants to make it 6. And this is truly a case of indiscipline, because you cannot get an approval for 4 floors to end up adding another 2 or even 1, because the foundation itself and the structure is meant to carry 4, not 6 or above. And so this lack of compliance to an approved building plan is one of the major causes.
On what penalties and punishment government can issue out to defaulters of the built sector, they gave their views.
Professionals involved in collapse building should be identified and sanctioned if found liable. Time has come for government to create what I call a special building collapse tribunal. And that has to be done speedily to handle such cases.
Government should be able to punish people adequately. And if reports are given and it's being put on the shelves, nobody gets intimidated, nobody gets punished, nobody gets cautioned. So it's like we continue as we have been doing. So except there is a penalty, people completely, brought to book. And let us have at least a scapegoat. If you do this under your, leadership, this is what will happen to you. You'll either be removed or you'll be dismissed, and then you now face the law. Why you have to be imprisoned, be imprisoned. Why you have to be demoted, be demoted. Why you have to be removed from office, be removed from office. Then developers in the same way. It's not just confiscating the land. No, put them in prison. When their personality is being brought and they are put in prison for a number of years, depending upon the extent of damage to lives and properties, then they will be cautious to do that.
Regulatory bodies must wake up to their responsibility of making sure that codes and standards of building projects are followed to the letter and effect discipline to defaulters to avoid these continuous trends.
The Nigeria Union of Journalists FCT Correspondent Chapel, under the leadership of Mr. Jide Onyekole, in conjunction with Housing Development Advocacy Network, is organizing a one-day conference in the housing sector with the theme Housing for All, the role of cooperative society and financial institutions. Date Thursday, September 29, 2022. Time 12 noon prompt. Venue NUJ FCT Council Secretariat, Plot 4, Cadastral Zone B05, Ikonikam Street, Utako, near ABC Transport, Abuja. The conference is aimed at bringing together all relevant stakeholders, professionals in the real estate and mortgage sector to brainstorm and proffer solutions to the challenges in the housing industry. Hence, the role of the media in affordable housing cannot be overemphasized. Special guest of honor, the Honorable Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Raji Fashola. Chief host, the Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Malam Mohammed Bello. Guest speaker, Managing Director, Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, Madu Haman. For further information and sponsorship, send email to correspondentchapelfct2015@gmail.com or call Jide on 08055961004 or Grace on 08060162852.
This program is supported by Tablet Construction Limited, Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, Housing Development Advocacy Network, Family Homes Funds, Doma Group International, and Iban Properties, among others.
You're still watching Housing Development. Up next is Brains and Hammers Limited, one of the top real estate development company based in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory.
One of Nigeria's leading real estate company, Brains and Hammers Estate, in partnership with the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, have brought into reality provision of mass housing for Nigerians with its Bungalow City project, with over 10,000 housing units sitting on 500 hectares of land across Kubwa Expressway, Abuja. The project comprises 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms bungalow house types that would cater for the low-income earners with ease of access to mortgage facilities. Speaking with the Chief Operating Officer during a tour with the new management of FMBN to appreciate the progress of the project so far, he noted that the Bungalow City Estate, already semi-finished with provision of basic amenities and modern facilities, will create a suitable living environment for residents.
I can clearly say we are at 90% now. What we are putting together in the implementation of the infrastructure. So for now, what we're doing the road. You can see the electrification project also going on. Water as well, we have the overhead tank, the underground tank, reservoir as well. We've done the external water reticulation as well. Before the end of the year, the first batch inshallah will be able to move in. That is our prayer, before the end of the year.
The project also contains primary locations to have ease of movement, even commercialization, including the fuel station.
Of houses we anticipate. The entirety of this place was to develop about 10,000 units of houses of various units of 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and 3 bedroom detached and 3 bedroom terraces. And other facilities on the site, we have religious areas, we have children playground, we have amenities like schools, we have shopping malls. All of these are 2,000 units already built. We hope after this that access, we are going to people start moving end of this month or early next month. We have a football pitch, we have a fire station, we have police unit, police outpost. And there's a space for one to park about 4 or 5 different cars in front. We have a picket fence that will demarcate that house and this house. Then we have 3 bedroom terrace as well, which is somewhere down, and we have 2 bedroom terrace, which is here behind us.
The Brainton Hammers Bungalow City project will massively reduce the huge housing deficit in the country, thereby contributing to the nation's housing industry. Nigerians are, however, advised to plug into this housing opportunity, as zero down payments are also encouraged.
Welcome back. So glad you're still with me. Coming up next is Modern Shelter System and Services, a real estate development company providing quality and decent homes for Nigerians.
When it comes to real estate in Nigeria, Modern Shelter Systems and Services rings a bell for innovation and timely delivery. Modern Shelter is a real estate company that is focused on providing end-to-end solutions to housing challenges for all Nigerians. It is one of the most dependable firms in all ramifications. Asante Sana is an estate developed by Modern Shelter Systems and Services. Its goal is to deliver quality and decent housing in a record time of 9 months to keep costs very affordable. The chief architect of the project, Abdullahi Abdusalam, said Modern Shelter has 5 categories of houses. He said the ongoing project is called Asante Sana, which means thank you very much in Swahili, while other 4, which are Nkosi, Webale, Abora, and Danki, also mean thank you in other African languages.
Modern Shelter Systems and Services is a real estate development firm. We undertake the development of residential estates all over the FCT. This current project is called Asante Sana. Asante Sana translates as thank you very much in Swahili, and it underscores the conceptualization of this estate. We conceived it to be an Afrocentric estate, and that's why all of the houses here are also named thank you in different African languages. So we have 5 categories of houses. We have 5 different types of houses. We have the 5-bedroom duplex, detached duplex, called Nkosi, meaning thank you, like I said, in a different African language. We have the 4-bedroom detached duplex called Webale. We have the 4-bedroom terrace duplexes you see here in the background called Abora. And then we have the 3-bedroom apartments. We call it Danki A, and then we have a 3- and 2-bedroom apartment block as well. We call Danki B.
Asante Sana is in the heart of Abuja. It is about 15 minutes drive away from the airport, 3 minutes away from the stadium, 7 minutes drive away from the city center, the Federal Secretariat. The project manager, Hamad Bello, said Asante Sana has about 297 units of houses, as well as basic facilities.
We have about 297 units of houses, and then we intend to take the rest of the unit and phase it into 2 sub-projects also, with the intention of finishing the entire site by March 2023. So also we are going to integrate a gas system, whereby everybody will have easy access to gas into your house. We intend to create a very good ambience for the site as a whole.
At Modern Shelter, keeping the prices of homes within affordable ranges for mid-income earners is a priority.
You can key into our projects with a minimum of 30% initial deposit of the total amount of the house price, which could be spread within 9 months of construction. And also we have a mortgage plan which could be spread with a tenure of 15 years.
Modern Shelter Systems and Services speaks uniqueness and quality. For affordability and timely delivery, think Modern Shelter. Modern Shelter, reshaping Nigeria's housing sector.
Quality and decent housing for all Nigerians is a right and not a privilege. Therefore, there is a need for the government to evolve an effective housing policy which will guarantee more affordable houses to the low-income earners. What is the pride of a government when the masses cannot own a house? That is it on today's episode of Housing Development. Thanks for watching. I remain your housing diva, Fleur Annie. Enjoy the rest of your day.